Life Unrehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Del Vecchio, specializing in senior transitions.
Damn. Oh, you got me there.
Yeah, a little
okay.
trick
Yes, he got me. I know who I am. I'm Corey Serrata, clinical social worker specializing in grief and loss. Matt, when's the last time you moved?
It has been a while ago. I'm going to say probably 12 years ago. But Corey, I've had my share of moving. I think the last time I moved, that was the 14th time in my lifetime that I moved. Lots of transfers for myself in my corporate world, even my dad in his time. And so, yeah, that was my 14th. But I've been there, I think, 12 years now. So how about you? Have you done a lot of moves?
Actually, thankfully, no, because I am not good with that. I mean, I like when you move somewhere. When I moved out of my parents when I got married to an apartment to one house and one more house to the house we're in now. Like, I really don't love the move. And actually, you know who loves it less? My husband. Not because he doesn't like new places, but because I have to have every box unpacked 30 seconds after we arrive.
Well, it is a stressful time for many.
Without a doubt, which is why we're going to be talking about this afternoon. So July 1st is coming up. Lots of people moving in the next week or so. No question that's led many to consider downsizing. Just the thought of it can definitely be overwhelming and overbearing. But actually, it really doesn't have to be that way. And that's why we are thrilled to have Stefanie Cadou on the line. Stefanie is a residential real estate broker with Royal LePage Village, and she specializes in senior transitions. Stefanie, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Well, thank you, Corey. Thank you, Matt. And Corey, for your next move, I'm your girl.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. So I keep saying it, downsizing can be overwhelming and I'm sure very emotional. Well, I just said it was very emotional for me. For some, it can be a very difficult process. So let's start off with some tips on how we downsize.
Okay, well, downsizing, you're absolutely right. It's the elephant in the room. We all know we need to address it. Nobody's interested. However, procrastination is our number one enemy. Start early is key. Even if you're not planning on moving for a few years, we should all go through our house at least once a year. Start eliminating things. Because if we wait too long, we may not have the health to address the issue. We may not have the physical ability to address it. Now, if you're downsizing because you plan on moving, it's very important to know where you're going. Why? You're going to have to consider your new square footage and analyze your new needs. If you're moving from a 4-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom condo, square footage is different. You're going to have to get rid of 2-bedroom sets of furniture, and all that's in the shed, the gardening tools, the lawnmower, they won't be useful anymore.
So, such good points. We're talking with Stefanie Cadou, a senior transition specialist and residential real estate broker. Stefanie, I've seen you in action, and you know what? You really have this knack. I don't know what it is, but it is stressful and emotional for people, particularly those that are downsizing. But you have this ability to reassure clients. You're very knowledgeable. One thing that I like when I hear you talk about, in downsizing tips, you talk about one room at a time.
Yes, well, it's very important to be organized because if you tackle the entire house at once, it's going to turn into chaos and you're going to be overwhelmed. So I always recommend my clients that they start with one room at a time, meaning the rooms you use the least. Storage room, basement, garage, the guest room, and then you make piles. Yes, I'm positive I'm keeping because I'm using it regularly. Maybe I'm not sure, but you're going to have to come back to that maybe pile and the no pile. And the no pile has to get out of the house immediately. Because what's going to happen is you're going to go for a break, and while you're enjoying this cup of tea, you're going to think of what's in the no pile. And chances are most of it is going to be put back in the yes pile, and you're back to square one.
True. Okay, I'm seriously taking notes. I'm not even kidding you. I'm full on taking notes here because it makes such sense. It's fantastic. Now, rumor has it you also suggest something called the downsizing party?
Well, I call it the downsizing party, but it is in fact a way to de-dramatize the whole situation because it doesn't have to be a sad moment. I'll give you an example of what I did with my grandma. Mani, we called her Mani, was in her 90s. And one day, my sister, my daughter, and myself went to her place to help her get rid of some things that she couldn't carry herself. And we went through her stuff together. And to us, she had always been grandma. We've always known her as a grandmother. But going through her things, it brought back memories and stories that she told us. And she actually introduced the woman and the grandma. And it was just a phenomenal day. So I highly recommend that families get together to enjoy that moment, make it pleasant as well as useful.
It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, Corey? Because it tends to be emotional, and that's a great story, and I think I could see that happening. Let's talk about memories for a second, Stefanie, because I know when I'm dealing with some people considering moves to senior residences, one of the toughest things is moving those memories. They've got books, they've got pictures. How do you handle that?
The key today is to go digital. You can scan your pictures and upload them in an electronic frame. So all those boxes are in one place. I, for instance, am a big reader. I love books. Well, I now read from a tablet, a Kobo. There's over 300 books in my Kobo. Can you imagine the room that would take in a house? I would need a room just for my books.
True.
So digital is key for music, for trips. You can also have beautiful coffee table books printed from your different trips during your life. And that takes a lot less space than all those pictures.
Excellent points. I'll tell you what really resonated with me as you were talking about going through this, even the idea of how do we get rid of things that mean a lot to us, and yet having those discussions when it's not the integral part. You know what I do. I'm a grief counselor, so
yes.
It is a devastating, and I'm sure you deal with it all the time as well, these transitions when you have to now clean up someone's belongings and pack up someone's belongings under very, very sad circumstances. So I love this concept of making it into something where you can learn and you can laugh and you can reminisce, and it's a positive experience. So that's great. That's really great. But you're going to have the challenge of all this stuff. Where does it go?
Well, that's always the big question. So first and foremost, family. Family, and when I mean family, I'm talking about extended family. And that includes friends, and that includes friends of friends. So most people will want to keep a memory, whether it's a souvenir that they brought back from a family trip, whether it's a artwork or a certain piece of furniture. But reality is, we cannot get offended if our kids don't want to take our big dining room set or the silverware. Because frankly, I have my grandmother's silverware. I don't use it. Why? Because I don't have time to polish it and it doesn't go in the dishwasher. So we have to be open to the fact that the kids are not going to take everything.
It makes so much sense. We see that. I see it in my world, Corey, as well, and Stefanie, where it's difficult, but they get insulted almost. What do you mean they don't? I spent a fortune on that, but
Absolutely.
There's the housing and the condos that are just not big enough. Now, Stefanie, we're going to head out to get a traffic update, but when we come back, we want to hear a couple more of these. Where can it all go? And we want to hear what is the best thing you could possibly do before you put your house on the market.
Live Fund Rehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. I'm Corey Sirota, along with my co-host Matt Del Vecchio, and we're talking about downsizing tips with senior transition specialist and residential real estate broker Stefanie Cadou. Right before we went to traffic, you were giving us some excellent ideas and suggestions around where can it go. You talked about family. Where else, Stefanie, can we put our stuff?
What you're not keeping and what your family is not taking, certain items you can try to sell. So you can organize estate sales. You can go on websites like Kijiji, organize garage sales. Now, you won't become rich from that. I'm telling you right away. However, you can get rid of quite a bit of stuff. Then there are charities for donations. There's a lot of people in need in Montreal, just the Montreal area. And there's plenty of people who would be very happy to give a second life to your belongings. And what you can't give, what you can't sell, what you're not keeping, just discard it. There's no point. So you just discard it.
And there are organizations, right, Stephanie, that specialize in that, I believe?
Well, yes. There's EcoCollect. There's 1-800-GOT-JUNK. There are various organizations that can come and pick up for you. You don't have to get it out of the house. They'll come and they pick it up for you.
And based on experience, although it's difficult to make that decision, once you see all that junk go, there is this huge sense of relief. Now, Stephanie, you are a residential real estate broker. You specialize in senior transitions. I've seen you in action. Even some clients, especially for children that are out of town, you've been called even the adopted daughter, just reassuring people and providing them with some guidance and support. But if we were to ask you, Stephanie, what is the number one thing that you could possibly do before you put your house on the market, what would that be?
Oh, I'm a big, big believer in the pre-sale building inspection. Let me explain why. When you sign a sales contract with a broker, you also sign what is called declaration of the seller. It's a 6-page document where you disclose everything you know about your house. And when a buyer makes an offer on your house, he has to read that document and sign it to confirm that he's read it. Now, if you join to that document, the declaration of the seller, a pre-sale building inspection, it's a document that's about 80 pages. It's a lot more thorough and it goes into details. And that way you disclose everything to the buyer. Transparency is key. So not only does it increase the confidence of the buyer, but it eliminates price negotiations because the buyer cannot claim that he wasn't aware of the situation. He was supposed to have read the inspection report and sign on it. So it really protects the vendor, it increases buyer's confidence, and it reduces chances of post-inspection renegotiation.
It's funny you mentioned that, Corey. When you were talking about the house I bought 12 years ago. They did that.
Oh, yeah?
The sellers showed us the inspection, and it gave me confidence. They said there's 12 things that have to be done. Mm-hmm. We did 5 of these 12 things. These 7 things have to be done. I knew that in advance when I made the bid, and it made it so much easier. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
It's something I didn't even know exists. So because I didn't move 14 times like you, Matt, so I didn't know it existed. So wow, that's a very, very important thing.
I'm telling you, all clients who have jumped on board with this, an inspection is about $600. It saves thousands.
I got to believe that. I have to believe that. The transparency of it and no surprises. So really, thank you for that one. Okay. Now we've got some downsizing tips. We know where we're putting our, whether we're giving away, keeping, we have our piles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now where are we downsizing? Downsizing to what? How do we figure that one out?
Well, it all depends on your age, activity level, health, and all, because some people will want to go to a townhouse. But I have to warn my clients about townhouses. If you're 60, 70, active, healthy, not a problem. But when you get later in life and you start having mobility issues, townhouses are a problem. Why? Because they're narrow and high, meaning stairs. And stairs are known to be a big problem for slips and falls. So I have a lot of clients going to 55-plus apartment buildings or to condo living. Why? Because there's no maintenance, very easy. You want to go on a trip, you turn off the water, lock the door, thank you, goodbye. And then there are some clients who choose to go to senior residences, which is, it's the same kind of condo living plus many benefits, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Senior residences are certainly an option, and we're seeing more and more of that. It's an extremely competitive market with tons of inventory going up. And you're right. It gives you sort of the best of both worlds. You could, like a condo, you can maintain your independence, your autonomous living, yet you still have the services there. You've got the dip in there, you've got a pharmacy, you've got activities, you've got the dining area. So in a way, yes, you do have the best of both worlds. Sometimes we hear residences meaning like nursing homes or CHSLDs. No, it's amazing. There's this whole market, what we call RPAs, Résidence pour Privés Aînés, where you've got this whole industry that's becoming more and more competitive with lots of great options for many people. So, Stefanie, you brought up some excellent points all around. Very appreciative of this. And, I guess what I would have to say, for those that are considering it, maybe some people, it's in the back of their mind. Can you provide a little bit of peace of mind to those that might be considering it, that, it's maybe not that bad?
It's not. And quite frankly, it's the crunch time that's difficult. It's knowing you have to do it. Then figuring out if you are going to do it on your own or if you need help, and if so, what kind of help. Because I work with specialized companies who are magnificent and they follow the client's speed. But every single client who's been through it, once it's done, they're relieved. They're relieved and they laugh and they can't believe how much stuff they've accumulated over the years and how many duplicates of everything that they had. And it's just big burden off the shoulder, and they're moving on to a new chapter. It's not the end of something. It's the beginning of a new chapter, and that's the way to look at it.
Well said. So well said. You gave us tons of information that is so important. Thank you so much for sharing your Sunday afternoon with us. How can people reach you?
Well, you can give me a call directly at 514-885-3524, or you can visit my website, which is movingsenior.ca.
All right, Stefanie, thank you very much for taking your time. That's movingsenior.ca. I like that. And really appreciate you taking some time with some very valuable tips. Now, Corey, what do we have coming up next week on Life Unrehearsed?
Next week, Rett syndrome. It's a rare genetic neurological and developmental disorder. Wait until you hear about an amazing young girl and her equally amazing mom about their day-to-day battle with this debilitating genetic condition.
Fascinating family, Corey. Can't wait to have them. And how about hair loss? We'll be talking to Dr. Yves Hébert about all your hair loss concerns. Technology has come a long way, and we'll be talking about the many solutions available for both men and women. That will be next Sunday on Life Unrehearsed, where you can catch us every Sunday at 4 p.m. on CJD 800.